another list came out, 25 of the NFL's best players under 25. No surprise, one of the top guys on that, Myles Garrett, he checked in as the 6th best player in the NFL under 25. Nick Chubb was 20th. You see Mahomes, number 1, hard to argue with that. Joey Bosa, former Buckeye, at 5. But Myles Garrett is a guy that has to be thrilled. A guy like Joe Woods is going to be the defensive coordinator. He's a guy with the 49ers that found a way to get guys after the quarterback, and before that with the Broncos. So if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm excited. You're going to set me loose like Von Miller or, some of those 49er guys?
Yeah, all Joe Woods has to say is Von Miller won a Super Bowl MVP, and go back and watch that Monday night game that you guys played against us last year when Nick Bosa just went crazy. So for Myles Garrett, this is actually, we always talk about Baker Mayfield and all the coordinators he's had. Myles Garrett has had a few coordinators too in his young career. This will be his 3rd coordinator, and he's really going to have a chance, I think, to thrive in this defense because the emphasis is going to be get after the quarterback. You're still going to have Olivier Vernon. You beefed up the interior of that defensive line, and that's just going to make it a lot harder for these teams to, chip Myles with a tight end or a running back. And I mean, there were plays last year where you'd see 3 guys get their hands on Myles Garrett to try and slow him down. So if you can mitigate some of that, he's poised for a big year in Joe Woods' system.
How much do you think, we talked a little bit about chip on the shoulder. The year obviously didn't end the way Myles Garrett wanted it to, being suspended. Up until that time, he was having a great season, and then, he gets suspended. What do you think that does then as far as making him motivated to be more successful?
Well, I think he wants to put that incident behind him. It's something that is going to stick with him, I think, for a long time and always be a part of his career. But he wants to put that behind him. And the best way to do that, and the best way to get people talking about Myles Garrett, the player, and not how last season ended, is to go out and have a great year and go out and be a potential defensive player of the year candidate. He has that ability. So he's going to come in this year and he's going to be hungry. And the other thing to remember, he's extension eligible right now. I don't know if they're going to get something done before the season starts or not. I'm sure they would love to because the price would be perfect right now for the Browns. But if Myles goes out there and has a big year, he's going to have a lot of leverage to get a lot more money next offseason. He's going to get paid a lot of money either way, but he can really make that price go up if they don't reach an agreement, and he goes into next season and has a huge year.
Right. And again, he's going to get that 5th-year extension picked up. It's just a matter of they try to do another contract, in front of that to lessen the impact. Let's move on. Nick Chubb is a guy that, he's got to be excited seeing what the Minnesota Vikings run game looked like, and just with the upgrades on the line, he's got to be, give me the ball. Give me the ball as often as you can.
I just find it hard to believe that Nick Chubb won't have a monster year this year. He's just fits perfectly in this zone blocking scheme, that ability to pick his spot where he wants to go, make a decision, and just go. And that's, if you look at a lot of his big runs, you go back to that 92-yarder against the Falcons, the big one he had against the Bengals after he only carried 3 times in the first half. A lot of those were really one cut and go type runs. And he's got so much speed once he gets into that second level. What I think is interesting, you look at that 25 under 25 list, under normal circumstances, Kareem Hunt would be on that list as well. But obviously he's coming off the suspension last year, is more in a secondary role. But if he were still in Kansas City, still a featured back, he'd probably be on that list too. He doesn't turn 25 until August. So the Browns have some really nice young players on this team, and especially in that backfield with those 2 guys.
And that's another thing that plays into Nick Chubb's favor. He doesn't have to carry the ball 35 times. If he carries it 25 and you have Kareem Hunt carrying it 10 to 15, there's not much of a drop-off. And Nick Chubb ran the zone running scheme is what Georgia runs that he ran so effectively in college.
Yeah, I mean, he's built for this system. And the other piece of it, too, is you can have both those guys on the field, and Nick Chubb, while I think he's gotten better catching the football and gotten better as an all-around back, it takes the pressure off of him a little bit, too, to have to do some of that stuff. He can just focus on being this team's workhorse back. He can take a series off here and there if that's what he needs. And what you really want is you want him to be fresh in December because you're hoping that you're competing for one of those 7 playoff spots come December. And you want Nick Chubb to be fresh and ready to go in those football games.
The other thing is you don't want him to have to play dinged up. If he gets dinged up,
Yeah.
It's like make sure you get healthy and healed up, and that's a huge advantage that the Browns have this year. And don't forget, they're going to run a lot of 2 tight ends, which puts 2 more blockers out there.
Yeah, and and again, Hunt is a very good blocker too. We saw that when he kind of embraced that role. So everything is set up for Nick Chubb. If you are a big time fantasy football player, he should be right near the top of your running back list. I mean, he should have won the rushing title last year. Derrick Henry stole it from him in the season finale. I think he's got a chance to win the rushing title this year and really have a huge year and put up some numbers that make us think, wow, this guy really is an incredible running back.